Uh, Dear friends, dear colleagues, respected excellencies, professors, thank you very much for coming today and being with us. I have really great pleasure of giving you, if I can say again, Professor Bagđi today with us. As you all know, last year we had a fantastic privilege of having him for a couple of days with us. He was first time in Serbia at that time. So he made very nice lecture about the foreign politics of Turkey. And we also organized one lecture in Novi Sad, which was his first visit there. And on the other side, I have to little bit privatize that. We organized, I'm so happy, for the first time meeting of him and his future family, actually. And the reason why he came this time in Serbia was actually that during the last weekend, his son married one very nice lady from Becce, so he's now, in a way, becoming again connected to the Balkans, which is his origin. I have to say his family is somewhere from Macedonia, Bulgaria, and so on. So in many ways, again, these connections are being reinvigorated, if I can say. So anyway, as you all know, Professor Bagđi is really doyen of Turkish academic thought about the foreign politics. And I have in front of me his present from the last time, Uçan Professor Unanilari, which is the book about the flying professor. We are speaking about the man who has visited more than 100 countries. In the meantime, it has probably expanded 120 already. Somebody who have met Vladimir Putin like 9 times, and somebody who is really very well respected among the whole Turkish system of the foreign policy and embassies and so on. So I could speak about half an hour about mentioning all his duties. I just have to say that he's still working at the famous METU University, Middle East Technical University. I had a chance to be their guest in December, and I hope that we will continue with this exchange. We spoke about possibility that our colleague Pejović be the next one to visit them. He just finished his 4th year's mandate in the famous Foreign Policy Institute, which has been existing from 1974. Actually, congratulations for 50 years. And he just started consulting firm, I have to mention, but he will speak more upon that. So you will see that he is everywhere in the best possible shape. And for today, we ask him to give us a presentation about what is really going on in Middle East, actually, because it is part of his expertise, like many things. But we met for the first time in the conference in Tehran, in which he was participating at a very nice panel dealing with Afghanistan and neighbors. That was very interesting and instructive at that time. So I just have to say that I'm more than happy that today we have another doyen of Serbian origin, and I'm happy that after some time I can greet His Excellency and former ambassador of Serbia to Turkey and many other countries like Vatican, and our famous Professor Darko Tanasković, with whom we had a chance to cooperate on several projects, and I'm really happy and thankful to him that he is today with us. I didn't mention also that we are having another guest from Turkey, Mr. Ali Bey, who is advisor to the Minister of Defense, actually, if I'm right. So again, we have somebody from Turkish administration. It's really great honor having you. And last but not the least, I should start with a lady, is our colleague from the Turkish embassy. I didn't catch Gizem Aydiner, who is We are expecting His Excellency to join us, but thank you very much for us. It's really great pleasure having Turkish Embassy with us following this. Without further ado, thank you very much for being with us. There are other experts from Serbia who are today with us, and thank them for coming. And Professor Bagđi, the floor is yours.
Thank you, Misha. First of all, welcome to all of you here and those who listen to us. It is my second conference here. Talk is not a lecture. It is a talk. I will try to make analysis about the Middle East in general, actual threats, as the title says, and also in general Turkish foreign security policy developments. But before, to have young people among us, researchers, it is good that they have interest, and also Ambassador Darko Tanaskovic, whom I know from Turkey when I was young and innocent as a Turkish academic. We had a lot discussions there, and I learned always many things from him in our receptions, talks, dinners in the evenings. But also, important point that Misha, who visited us also last year, I let him to work very hard, by the way. You have to know, every day we had organizations, and next time, after he's retiring from here, then he will have more time to visit Ankara and other cities. We will do it. I think the main topic today will be the Middle East in general, how the Turkish foreign policy is there. I'm not speaking the historical background. It is not necessary. Mostly the actual one. So if I may start, Sven Biskop is the professor of Ghent University in Belgium and the president of Egmont Institute. He published a very interesting book recently, 2022, with the title Grand Strategy in 10 Points. So what is the grand strategy? How the big powers develop their grand strategies. And last year, I have been with them together in Diplomatic Academy in Vienna. We had a one-day-long conference. And in his book, and later on in his articles, he is one of the academics who try to understand the grand strategic developments in the historical context and apply it to today's big powers, great powers, America, Russia, China, European Union as the whole institution. And I teach in Turkey to civilian and military experts about also the Turkish grand strategy. Recently, we had also in Turkey the discussions about the grand strategy of Turkey. A specific edition of Inside Turkey was devoted to this grand strategy of Turkey discussions. I don't see any grand strategy yet, but the debate is there, and we start now to understand what is actually Turkey is doing within the regional and in the global context. So not only big powers, nuclear powers have their grand strategy, but also regional countries like Turkey, which is called modified middle power, economically, militarily, politically, concerning the human resources. They have certain roles. Paul Kennedy would call it pivotal state. So there are 10 pivotal states in the world. They play a very important role because of their geopolitical location, geo-economic situation. So they are important players, not necessarily powerhouses, but they are important players. Sometimes they say that those countries are game changers. So Turkey is also, sometimes in the public debate, we have this discussion that Turkey is a game changer. And this is another part of the discussion. A little bit later on, I will come back. At the moment in America, we have elections in coming months. And Philip Gordon, the national security advisor, probably if Kamala Harris is winning the elections, he will be. And Philip Gordon, whom I know for years, he has written a couple of years ago a book about the Middle East, how to get Middle East stabilized. Probably after Israeli destruction from Gaza is really stabilized in this sense, in negative sense. It's not a joke, but it is very interesting how the Middle East will be reshaped after this is finishing. And as you know, Netanyahu is in America, is going to speak in the parliament, in the Senate. Many people left. Bernie Sanders said, I will be not there. Kamala Harris is not coming, etc. So there is a very interesting change also in American policy towards Israel, Netanyahu particularly. This will be another debate a little bit later on. But Philip Gordon was writing this book. Why I'm mentioning this? Because it is important from the American perspective, how they see the Middle East, because China is coming. And my dear friend Wook, we talked also about China policy. China is becoming now more and more aggressive in the Middle East. Aggressive in the sense that they try to bring the fighting groups together, and they had Al-Fatih and Hamas now in Beijing, and bringing them to the table like Iran and Saudi Arabia they have done. In May, I was in Shanghai, Beijing, and Xi'an with my colleague, Dr. Gülsüm Akbulut. We had 9 universities plus institutes, and we talked to people. The shortest one, the discussion was 3 hours, the shortest one. 3 hours, 4 hours, 4.5 hours discussion. So why I'm telling you this? Because Chinese grand strategy is also changed. Now, America has grand strategy everywhere in the world, but now Chinese also moving to this area, and we have to take into account why and how China will do it. Like this Iraqi development road, again, my partner, the co-founder of my consultancy company, she wrote about the development road and the Middle East. She is expert on the corridors, and it's very interesting. Not only this, but also the Sensegur corridor will be very important between Turkey and Iran and Armenia. I will talk about it. So it will be, I would say, 360-degree foreign policy observation, what I will try to put here. And the other one, William Burns is now the CIA director, and he is the first non-security man. He is diplomat, first time CIA man, and he wrote the book Back Channel. When you read the book Back Channel, then you understand the American foreign policy, not only towards the Middle East, but in the entire world. And I have there an anecdote. William Burns was a young diplomat, escorting to him to Middle East in 1990, before first Gulf War. And he said, James Baker, looking down from the plane to the Middle East, he said, if I would come to the world again, reincarnation, it is called, he said, I would become expert about the Middle East. He said, oh, Minister, why? Secretary of State, he said, why? He said, very simple. There will be always problems, and you will be never employed if you make research about the Middle East. Where is Nicholas? Never be unemployed, I can tell you. So this book, Back Channel, actually provides us the information how the Middle East was in the last since 1980s, actually, when it started first in Egypt and then in Syria. So it's very interesting to see how the Americans see this. And the Middle East is, historically speaking, again, part of the Ottoman Empire. And Mr. Ambassador was writing Turkish Neo-Ottoman Mind. This Neo-Ottomanism debates have been dominating the discussion in the years 2008, 7, 2010, 11, and 12, when the Arab Spring started. I think now Turkey comes into the picture. Turkey is a modified military power in the Middle East. Turkey is involved in several parts of the world, from Africa. I refer to Turkish-Somalian agreement, to Caucasia, Turkish-Azerbaijan agreement. Libya is another one. And what is more important, the discussion about the Israeli politics, Israel's politics towards Gaza since last year. Concrete examples I will give you. I still don't know who has given the instruction or the order to Hamas to attack Israel. In one day, 1,200 people are killed, taken away, and the entire world was in shock. 9 of October, I was in Madrid for Euromesco conference. So all the experts from North Africa, Middle East, everybody is there. The deputy foreign minister of Spain came 9 of October, and he said, we are standing behind Israel. It is a terrorist attack, and we support Israel. And now Spain came to another position. So you see here how sometimes decisions can be taken wrongly, that they were not underestimated. They were not estimating that it would last so long. And it is already 290 days that Israel is bombing Gaza, which is another debate. And I would like to hear also your views from international law point of view, from moral point of view, religious point of view, name it. So it cannot be, of course, accepted, because the consciousness of the people, at least in the West and in the Islamic world, is not accepting this, except the Chinese. Chinese have a different position. Very interesting. They do not perceive the event like we do, because we are very close to the region. And I think this Hamas attack, I would say the German chancellor wrote Zeitenwende when Russia attacked to Ukraine. I think the second Zeitenwende is Gaza. It changed the entire concept. Nobody anymore is looking to the Middle East as it was before 7 of October. Where it will lead, also for Turkish foreign policy, is another question. And I will come to this advantages, disadvantages, and how Turkey is dealing with this problem, having problems inside and outside. At the same time, morally, Turkey is leading internationally from the very beginning, said it cannot be accepted. Milan, welcome. As an underpaid Turkish academic, I wrote in 2006 an article after Hamas won the elections in Gaza. I wrote in Turkish Daily News, Hamas is using Turkey as a springboard. And I said, we will see how Hamas would use these democratic elections for further development of the Palestinians there, or will they become not democratic? I was putting the question. 17 years, there are no elections. It's very interesting. Many people forget this. They came with elections, but there are no other elections. So I think in our discussions this year, I took my delegation, 6 people who went to Abu Dhabi, Dubai, and we had talks with the institutes, even Anwar Kargash Diplomatic Academy there. And I am participant of Doha Forum in the last 2 years. The United Arab Emirates, Saudi Arabia, and Qatar, they have the view that the non-state actors in other words, weaponized non-state actors cannot be accepted as a negotiation partner. So there is two different views among the most Arab countries, and why the Arabs are so silent from Egypt to Saudi Arabia, and all the meetings that they have done, there was no decision to stop Israel militarily. Why? Because there is no military alliance among the Arabs. It is not like NATO. Ukraine is supported by NATO because they have now a position as a neutral state attacked by a country. But Israel and Hamas, two different things. There is not a state in this sense. And this is another debate why we will see how the discussion is going on. And Turkey, from the very beginning, was claiming that Turkey should be part of this arbitration process. Turkey should be effective. And I think in my country, in Turkey, we had the discussion, and part of these discussions, public discussions, I was always saying that this will change the Middle East totally. The mindset will change, but who is responsible for this? Hamas or Israel policy? Actually, both are feeding each other. Two wrongs does not make the right one. So both are wrong in this respect. So wrong, but we all watch what happens there. And this is why in the entire Western world, also in our country, the people went on the streets, demonstrate, the students in many countries. Even 1st of January this year, I must say, in the morning, 1st of January, in Istanbul, there was a demonstration against Israel. Every year, we have Vienna concert, the New Year's concert. This year, it was not sent live. And we have been very angry because we didn't know that there is a demonstration. And but then later on, they showed it 1 day later. But why I'm telling you this, the reaction of Israel's policy created a big discussion, and the more Israel is attacking and civilians, bombing civilians, of course it cannot be accepted. At least I cannot accept personally. It is, as expert of international relations, to bomb the people from above cannot be accepted. This is one point, moral point of view. Strategically speaking, and this is important, Netanyahu's policy, together with his military, is to clean up the area and establish something new, like Singapore in future. This area, because it's very rich of oil and gas, it should be free of any attacks. This is another strategy. And now here I come to another debate. Before 7th of October, Turkey's relations with Israel developed very good. The president of Israel came to Turkey, and I watched and of course saw in Ankara how the Israeli president was taken to the palace with 110 horses together, and the Israeli flag was emerging there. And this is unique, how Turkish foreign policy is flexible. It's balance of power policy, I would say. And then Netanyahu and President Erdogan met in New York last year. So when they talked like this, Netanyahu had a white shirt and red tie, which is the flag of Turkey, symbolically. So it was very good, and we expected Netanyahu's visit to Turkey at the end of September, early October. Then it was said he is ill, hospitalized, he cannot come. Then 7th of October happened, and since then, no debate at all. But we know that Turkey was one of the countries when Arab Spring started, and certainly you have written also about this in your book. My view, publicly, I stated, Turkey is the loser of Arab Spring, but the winner of Russian-Ukrainian conflict. So two events. The Arab Spring was, for Turkey at least, a policy where many miscalculations happened, and we lost 10 years' time. In our visit to United Arab Emirates, we debated, we lost money, energy, and time. Now what happens now? United Arab Emirates invest in Turkey $40 billion. With Egypt, Turkey is speaking again. It was Turkish policy very strongly against Sisi. And now Turkey is talking, and just today's news, more than 100 Turkish companies moved from Turkey to Egypt to produce there. So economically speaking, Egypt is also part of Turkey, and thousands of people will go now to Sharm el-Sheikh, to Egypt, to make visits. Serbia and Egypt are two destinations now for the Turks to come. Dr. Özgür Özdemir from Bilkent University wrote an article about the Turkish-American relations, like Didem Buhari. She's also my student, by the way. She wrote also about the Turkish-American relations with some examples. We had the worst period in Turkish-American relations in the last 10 years. Starting with Obama, continued with Donald Trump, and now also with the Biden period. We had some difficulties, but in the last 2 years, because of NATO issue, Turkey was making certain conditions, of course, with Finland and Sweden's membership, that they should not support PKK, YPG in Syria and in the Iraq. So this is, again, I told also to, where is our friend, expert on Russia and on Baltic states, Alex. I think I said Turkey cannot stop the NATO enlargement process. And in last year in Helsinki Security Forum, we had also people. Now the Finnish president was at that time candidate, and McMaster, the National Security Advisor of America, was there, McMaster, and he said, you know, I love Turkey, I have a lot of friends. I said, okay, prove it. If you have a lot of friends and love Turkey, then why don't give you us F-16? Now, thanks God, the deal has done. Turkey will receive the modernized F-16 jet fighters. But the Arab Spring was creating also an intellectual problem in Turkey. The Arabs versus the Turks discussion. At the moment, we face it a very big challenge because of migration, or for the Syrians, as we call it, people under special protection. Turkey is at the moment the only country which has most people in this situation from Syria, as well as from Pakistan, Afghanistan, name it, and it become one domestic policy, election policy in Turkey, which is very interesting. Last year we had presidential elections. President Erdogan is elected, and we have a new foreign minister, Hakan Fidan. Again, Hakan Fidan I know for years when he was a student with Mr. Taraskovic. I mean, we know Hakan Fidan was studying at Bilkent University. Later on, he has done his PhD, Turkish MIT, Secret Intelligence Service. He made Latin America, like CIA. By the way, I visited MIT place this year when President was speaking about the establishment of Turkish Intelligence Service. Hakan Fidan's foreign ministry position is important. He has certain ideas, he has certain views, and he knows many things. Sometimes I say, as an academic, I would like to have his knowledge. He know all the dossier, because he was MIT president, chair so many years, and we, the academics, we have secondary sources, but he is coming from there. And he started actually also in Inside Turkey, published an article about the Turkish foreign and security policy. I think he is having his own views. The former foreign minister, Çavuşoğlu, didn't have this intellectual position. There is a big difference. Hakan Fidan is more intellectual than the previous one, Mr. Çavuşoğlu. By the way, he was also my student for 6 months. So why I am telling you this? Because Hakan Fidan's strength lies also in the Middle East. He knows the Turkish-Syrian relations. He knows the negotiations in Qatar. And he is the one who is now dealing with foreign policy and security policy issues from China to Russia. Recently, when he was in Russia, he talked to foreign minister, but unexpectedly he was meeting also President Putin concerning the BRICS membership, possible membership. So Hakan Fidan, in other words, was from the very beginning, when he became minister, he was thinking that Turkey should have a new attitude in general in the Middle East. When 7th of October happened, from the very beginning, Turkey wanted to become the mediator. So the problem is Turkey is not accepted as mediator because Qataris didn't want to give this position. The second one, we have also Hakan Fidan's statements that he is the one who from the very beginning was dealing with the Israelis actually and the Syrian government about the issue how to get them. And the Turkish relations with Israel was on the good way again. Until the end of September, the Turkish-Israeli relations were not problematic a lot. And President Erdogan was talking to Arab League, talking publicly. Probably Turkey is the only country among the Islamic countries and in the West, from the very beginning, having a position, I would say morally, that what Israel does is wrong. It is not put into the position that Turkey is a arbitrator country. Doesn't matter, it is not so important now, but Turkey's aim was to bring countries together like Egypt, Saudi Arabia, and the Middle East again become for Turkey a region where Turkey is springing from one branch to another. Yeah? So it is taken the lectures from Arab Spring, trying not to make the same mistakes, and again the Arab capital is coming also to Turkey, and my suggestion would be we have to see what Saudi Arabia does. Very interesting. Prince Salman is the future changer of Saudi Arabian society. Last week there was an article in Der Spiegel, Faisal bin al-Turki, the former ambassador to America, Saudi intelligence director, whom I met also in several conferences in Prague and in Switzerland. He has given a very interesting interview to German Der Spiegel publication. He said, just look what we do. We reform. We are on the way to make reforms. And Prince Salman was saying that he is becoming Atatürk from Saudi Arabia. It's very interesting. United Arab Emirates and Saudi Arabia together, they will become more reformist in future, probably than Iran, when we take it into discussion. Of course, now new president of Iran is another one. I will also talk about this. So Hamas is not I would say Hamas probably would accept Turkey as the arbitrator, but Israel is rejecting from the very beginning. And we have two poles, Netanyahu and Tayyip Erdogan, accuse each other very strongly. I understand this, although they make domestic consumption, fine. But in the long run, neither Turkey nor Israel, they can oversee each other. They are there. And in the future structure of the Middle East, these two countries will have a very interesting discussion. From there, I move, because of time limitation, I move to Turkish-Syrian normalization process. Suddenly, we started to talk about the normalization. I would say Bashar Assad is now in a stronger position, because Turkey was suggesting to meet, and he is now making a little bit better negotiation, I would say, policy. He says, I can accept this if Turkey is leaving the territories where Turkey is controlling. And this is one problem. The other problem is the Syrians who are in Turkey. This is another big domestic problem in Turkey. All the political parties agree that there is a problem, opposition and the government. And the opposition leader, Mr. Özel, probably will visit Bashar Assad soon. But we have a problem. We don't know how many million people became Turkish citizen. Before, we had in the parliament this: if anyone would become Turkish citizen, the names have been published in official gazette. Okay. Now, it is not the case, because Turkey is also of the countries where the Turkish citizenship can be bought for $250, $250,000 or $400,000. It became a problem, at least domestically. We don't know who is a Turkish citizen and acting. And this is a big problem for the Western countries, because they have Turkish names, but they are not Turkish origin. So it is a problem. But the big question is, will Turkey leave the territories where Turkey is now in Syria? Probably not. Because Article 51 of the United Nations says, if a country's borders are under attack, terrorist attack, and if there's not a central government which can control the area, the country is obliged to take the necessary security measures. And this is something what Turkey does. This is the legal position of Turkey, because the cross-border terrorism is a big problem. 3 countries, Turkey, Israel, and India, signed a protocol in 1995 about these cross-border terrorism activities. So they hit and run. This is well known. So this is why Turkey is at the moment controls certain areas. And this morning there was a map how the Russian troops, Turkish troops, and the Syrian troops are there. Americans are controlling the eastern part of Euphrates, Russians the western part of the Euphrates. So Russia is the big player, is there protecting Syria, and there is a discussion. Bashar Assad said Turkey has to move from these territories. David Altman, the American professor, wrote a wonderful article which is published now as a book, The Fait Accompli Conquest. Since 1945, we have several examples how certain countries went there and got certain territories under their control, from China to certain African countries. And this is the fait accompli conquest is an interesting definition in international law. This is why the question remains, when Turkey will leave these territories? Will Turkey leave these territories? Under what conditions Turkey can leave these territories? There are several questions we cannot answer because there is a common problem, which is Idlib. In Idlib, we have all types of terrorist organizations, very difficult to control. I call it garbage of international terrorism in the state of Idlib, the city of Idlib, because it's like a watermelon part, okay? All the bees are coming there and they trying to get the sweet of the watermelon. All the terrorist organizations are there. And the problem is definition of terrorists. Who is terrorist? What it means for Syrian government. For example, Turkey's Free Syrian Army is supported, and for them, for Bashar Assad, it is a terrorist organization. So if the normalization starts, we will have a very complicated process, and I don't know how to solve it. But the more prolonged, the more complicated it will be in future. So this is why to come together with Syria is a good, I would say, suggestion, and we will see whether it will be the case or not. But my example would be, in 2013, I spoke in Gaziantep, so in front of 200 people from Syria, Turkish bureaucrats, governor, name it. And I used there this sentence: overnight, Turkey became enemy of Syria. It is like in one day, first day you have the marriage ceremony, and next day you have the
Divorce.
Yeah, not only divorce, but death. You bring them to grave. Exactly. This is very interesting, because before we had 155 bilateral agreements. 155. We had Davutoğlu was foreign minister. We had meetings, cabinet meetings here and there. Fenerbahçe team was playing there with the Syrian team. So it was 59 euro from Ankara to Damascus or Aleppo weekend. Many Turks went there, and the Syrians came to Turkey. It was tourism. And today, they are not anymore. And this is another psychology. The mindset changed. And again, maybe in the question and answer period, I can go a little bit more. But what is more important, this ISIS, YPG, PKK, name it, all those people are there. And I think the Americans, the Russians, now part of the, so far Chinese are not yet involved in it, like in Al-Fatih and Hamas, but America and Russia are there. And the question is, what will happen with the Kurds? Will there be a Kurdish state, which is the wishful thinking from many people? In 26th of June, I was speaking in Vienna with Wolfgang Schüssel, Ursula Plasnik. They invited me to speak. And there was a very interesting question. One of the questions was, Professor Bagđi, if Turkey is separated, divided into two, we take automatically the western part of Turkey into European Union. The eastern part remains. I said, is it wishful thinking, or is it based on knowledge? No answer, of course. The question is here, as Ofra Bengio from Israel. She is the most important, one of the most important experts on the Kurdish issue. She said, in a webinar, I was there, and she said, oh, in all my life, I was defending an independent Kurdish state. And she said, I give up this idea, and probably the next generation will do it. The reason was, when in northern Iraq, Barzani made this referendum, and in September 2017, and he was having this referendum more than 95%, but he was not able to declare an independent Kurdish state. In this geography, to have an independent Kurdish state is not possible under today's circumstances, because Iran, Iraq, Turkey, and Syria, 4 countries are there, and they have all totally different interests. We know, at least I know, who is supporting these groups. one of the guys said to me from a very friendly country to Turkey in NATO, he said, "Oh, Professor Bagđi, you know, we provide weapons them, but we are not going to fight for them." I said, "Of course. If you send your young people there, they will you get the coffins back. Then you have to explain it to your people." Like in Ukraine, the NATO countries provide everything, but they are still not sending any troops. And Foreign Minister Akan stated very clearly, he said, if there is a NATO decision there, we are not going to send any soldiers. Exactly this personal experience. In 1991, I was in Defense Ministry. I was young and innocent, of course, at that time. And I was part of the reports we wrote to the ministers. We received 2 letters in 1990, August and September, from Spain and Portugal. They said, if Saddam Hussein would attack Turkey, we are not sending any soldiers, but we can send some sanitary people, you know, nurses, etc. And we wrote them, "Thank you, we have enough." Why I'm telling you this? In the Middle East, nobody is ready to die for the Kurds. To support is something else. To have a viable Kurdish state is very difficult. Will be the case in future? I don't know. But what we know, in the northern part of Syria, the YPG controls the oil fields. And we had a meeting in Ankara, close meeting. The British companies try to invest there. And those fields, because they don't have experts, they know how to use Kalashnikov, but they don't know how to get the oil out and work it. It is a big problem, big environmental problems, very big environmental problems. Concerning Turkey, I do not expect also that Turkey is leaving this area without getting any security guarantees. So this is, again, Turkish positions so far I can analyze. Yes, a little bit more than I finish, then maybe the question and answer period. Otherwise, I can speak 3 hours, no problem. Now, Iran is important. I didn't talk about Iran. Astana process is important. Turkey, Iran, and Russia have done it. They stopped it. Now we see that Astana process can start again, probably. I supervised a thesis about Astana process. I'm until here with Astana process. Sablup would know this. Now, the issue is here, what Iran does, what type of policy Iran will follow under the new president. Raisi was a different one. He was conservative, and Qasem Soleimani was assassinated, killed. I have a statement. We know the Turks and the Iranians, we know each other since centuries. The Iranians never fight. They let the others fight for them. This is Hezbollah, what I'm mentioning now. And position now, the new president, who is a reformist. I think this so-called war, drone war between Iran and Israel was really one of the best pieces of international theater. Sending the drones 6 hours all the way. Instead, send drones if they want. They can send Shahab missiles, and within a couple of hours, there is no Jerusalem and no Tel Aviv. But they don't. And Iran, we have to take very seriously. Iran is our neighbor. We have to deal with them. Many people come from Iran's border to Turkey, from Afghanistan, Pakistan, name it. One of the former Iranian diplomats said to me, "Oh, Professor Bagđi, you exaggerate." I said, "What? We exaggerate?" He said, "We just sent every day 7,500 people from our borders to you. It's like letting the water flow like a dam. I said, you know how many people it makes in a year? But they have also a problem with Afghans. They are not free of the problem. But Israel, Iran, and Turkey, these three countries are very important in the Middle East. Why? Because they are non-Arab countries. Iran is not Arab, Israel is not Arab, and we are not Arab country. And the Arab countries and the non-Arab countries, how they follow the policy there is very interesting, definitely. And again, Iraq is becoming very important. In recent months, the Turkish defense minister, MIT director Ibrahim Kalın, foreign minister, they went all to Iraq. Iraq is suddenly appearing there as arbitrator between Turkey and Syria. It is very interesting. Iraq is trying to play not only in economic terms, but also in political terms, a new role. How far it will be the case, we will see. But this Barzani and Talabani cases in Iraq, because they are autonomous regions, but they depend, of course, to the central government of Iraq. It is another thing. You cannot just say, okay, I want to become independent tomorrow, yes, but who is protecting you? Iraq has a different constitution. I can go into detail. It's very problematic. But who is the winner of this Hamas-Israeli conflict? Russia. We all forget what happens between Ukraine and Russia. So Putin is very happy, actually, with this situation. But the problem remains. And the elections of America, the new American president, again, will become very decisive what type of Israel, Middle East policies we will have, what type of Russian policy we are going to have. If Donald Trump comes, then we have a different policy than Kamala Harris comes. So it is very difficult to estimate, how we can assume what they do, but we will see. Conclusion is Turkey is a member of NATO, pivotal state, and a game changer in the regional and global politics. Whether Turkey will become member of BRICS is another issue. Global South is coming. Turkey is playing an important role. Turkey is having multilateral foreign policy. I think time at the moment is working for Turkey. It is different than the environment when the Arab Spring started. It is different environment when Russia intervened in Ukraine, and also very different after 7th of October. I do not expect in Russian-Ukrainian case peace, but ceasefire. Ceasefire like in North Korea and South Korea. Since 1953, we have no peace, but ceasefire between two countries. In the Middle East, between Hamas and Israel, probably there will be also ceasefire in the beginning, peace treaty. We will see how far Chinese will be successful. And Turkey is the country which will have a general attitude to finish the problem and then have political and economic stability. Turkey's biggest concern is political and economic security, because Turkish economy is now moving to the area as never before, using the American, Chinese, and Russian relations. Thanks God, I have to say it, in all European friends conference in the European institutes, I say, Turkey's lack is now that we are not member of European Union. If we would have been member of the European Union, we could not have this flexibility to move around. And Turkey should make use of it. So it is so far. Maybe the question and answer period, I can go into detail if there are some questions. Thank you for your kind attention.
I have to thank, of course, to Professor Baggi, who, as he rightly said, could speak about this about 3-4 hours and so on. But it was really outstanding short overview, if I can say, actual issues that we are facing. And not to forget, actually, we are here also very interested in what is going on around, because everybody thinks that we are really entering into quite a decisive time and atmosphere in which, as you said, a lot of things will depend on who's going to be running the White House after January, but also how the new game changer or the new player will be, because definitely the world is changing, and the importance of the White House, especially when we speak about the Middle East, is visibly much smaller than it was like 30-40 years ago and so on. But I see that there are our friends and experts who are very interested in that. And let me start from the right with the guest, and we go on. Mr. Book, please. Just. Since we have to do for the people who are following Zoom.
Well, greetings to the people on the Zoom in that case. But I mean, I have three quick questions. I mean, I apologize, but you raised a lot of points which also raised curiosity. I mean, number one, you mentioned the Turkish rapprochement with Saudi Arabia, Emiratis, and Egypt after several years of hostilities. Is Turkey past the bad days in relations with these countries, or do these three countries still perceive the AK party government as the instigator of revolutions over there? Number two, how, given, for example, the state of Turkish relationship with Baku, with Azerbaijan, how do you perceive the potential for a potential rivalry between Turkey and Iran, both in the Caucasus and the Middle East? And third, how serious is the China brokered deal between Hamas and Fatah? I mean, does this have real repercussions on Palestinian politics and about China's role in the Middle East? Thank you.
Very good. Should I? First? Okay. The easiest one, the last one. We will see how China is dealing with this. In Beijing, we had a very long discussion, like in Shanghai. The so-called Mr. Song from Shanghai University wrote, Fudan University, the quasi-alliances in the Middle East. Not the alliance, but the quasi-alliances. So which countries actually, without having formal alliances like NATO, but they help to each other. I think for Al-Fatah and Hamas, the Chinese platform is a very neutral one. And the Chinese have much more different perception, you know, much better than I do. In all my discussions, I see this Chinese dimension we have to put into our perception. You know, our view is not always the right one. So they look from a different angle, and China is getting more aggressive. The more China is getting stronger economically, militarily, the more they will want to become, of course, part of the game. And the Middle East definitely provides them this opportunity, like this Iranian-Saudi conflict they solved. And it is interesting how Iran and Saudi Arabia developed their relations. China is coming, or China is already there, not coming, is already there. And Turkey will, of course, after Foreign Minister Fidan's visit to China in Beijing and in Kashgar, in Urumqi, he talked about the Chinese civilization and Islamic civilization. Two countries represent big civilizations. So it is a claim. And he said, we recognize the territorial integrity of China, so it is not a problem. Uyghur issue is not a vital problem at the moment for the Turkish-Chinese relations. It is unique statement, I would say. The other one, Baku, and Turkey and Iran. No, Zenzegul corridor is very important. I think the Iranians was a tough partner for negotiations always. But at the end of the day, in this part of the world, we need prosperity or poverty. We have two alternatives, either prosperity or poverty. I tell it for Armenians particularly. Pashinyan is at the moment called in Turkey secret Turkish nationalist prime minister. But he's very clever one, because he saw that this Armenian nationalism does not bring anything if they do not take part in the regional organizations. Recently, we had a very interesting conference. George Liberadian was also there, is one of the important Armenian professors in America. He was providing also very positive messages between Armenia, Georgia, and Azerbaijan. The regional developments, from the railway to highways, it will be the region where Central Asia is going to be integrated. The Turkish state organization with the headquarters in Istanbul is now very important. First, in 2009, it was established in Nakhchivan, and now it is in Istanbul. Many people from China to European Union to Russia, they want to see what it will be from this organization. Is it only cultural one, economic one, social one, or economic one, or is it going to become a military one? I do not expect that it's going to become military, at least for now. But Azerbaijan and Turkey at the moment have very close relations. 44 days was enough to liberate the occupied territories of Azerbaijan, which was not solved in the last 29 years. Minsk group was not successful. We saw there the hard power, and Turkey and Israel helped to Azerbaijan, and with the Russian consent. Without Vladimir Putin's consent, probably it wouldn't be the case. And at the moment, there's a big discussion, because Azerbaijan and Armenia have very close relations. Why Azerbaijan is supporting Israel, but it all depends from which perspective you look. Some countries have this country because they support, they got help, and they have to show their respect, definitely. And Azerbaijan does. Then Turkey and Azerbaijan, I think when the president is elected in Turkey, usually it was always going to Cyprus first, but now it is changing to Azerbaijan. So it is interesting in the long run. I do not expect that Baku will have any security problems, because Susha protocol says if Azerbaijan is attacked by another country, Turkey will provide any military help. It is not an agreement like between Turkey and Somalia, but this memorandum, this protocol is taken very seriously by the third countries. Saudi Arabia and Egypt, I think two countries are very important. From 2012 to until last couple of years, I was suggesting that Turkey should talk to Egypt from the very beginning. It was wrong. Egypt is geopolitically and geostrategically a very important country. I had a lot of troubles in Turkish television debates with all those who rejected to speak now out of the discussion. I'm still there, because I said Turkey has to speak. The ambassador now in Turkey, he was number 2 first, because we didn't have ambassadors. He came to visit me in my office in 2018. And I said to him, my dear friend, don't expect that Erdogan is speaking to Sisi now, but in the long run, it will be the case. It will not go forever. And he said, same way, thank you, you made me ambassador, because he was writing always, and I'm invited to Egypt, of course, this year to visit, because he became ambassador. but not now. It's too hot. I wait January or February to go there. And I think it is a very important thing because Egypt and Turkey are two countries in the Mediterranean and North Africa who had always great interest to have the balance and the relations. I compare it with François Mitterrand and Helmut Kohl in the 90s when they had always this 6 months meeting, France and Germany, to talk about the future of Europe. In Turkey, we had Süleyman Demirel as president and Hosni Mubarak, the president. They had the same type of relations. Every 6 months they came together and talked about the Middle East. Probably in the long run, we will have much better relations. Again, Egypt is now getting a lot of investments from Turkey. Company is going there. Tourism is flourishing. And in the historical context also, it was wrong. In 2 points I said wrong. It was the Turkish intervention in Syria and to stop the relations with Egypt. But now it's changing and it is good, so I support this position, these changes. And Saudi Arabia is another issue, my dear. We have to follow the Saudi Arabia very carefully. Within the Islamic conference, Saudi Arabia has the voice. Remember when we had the discussion and Prince Salman said, shut up, technically, to everyone. We know what to do. And the Arab League is different one. Arab League now is accepting also Bashar Assad. And again, this Arab mind, Iranian mind, and the Turkish mind, there are differences in the perception and in the observation of the events. So far, okay.
Thank you. Stevan, please.
Thank you, Stevan Gajic, Institute for European Studies. Thank you, first of all, for this very interesting and informative lecture. I have two short questions. One is, how serious are the media rumors about the possibility of meeting between Presidents Erdogan and Assad in Moscow in August? Because Daily Sabah wrote something about it. And the second question is one that I could also ask the authorities in this country. What is Turkey going to do in the long run? There are talks about joining the Shanghai cooperation, and at the same time, how is this going to be reconciled with membership in NATO? So, of course, now Turkey is in the position to play a lot of games in the region, but what would your suggestion be in the long run? Which side is going to win? So is Turkey going to be part of the broader Eurasian integration, let's say, organizations and initiatives, or is it going to stick with NATO? And what are the consequences? Because I think that this is the essential question for that is arising in this country. And now we had recently Olaf Scholz in Belgrade, and vast. Yes, and which is quite frankly an insult for most of the citizens of this country, because effectively now today there was an article in Austria that says that Serbia is a new mining colony of the West. So that is exactly how it is perceived by the, let's say, popular thought here. So that is my question. Where do you see Turkey in the long run? Thank you so much.
Thank you. I don't know about Serbian policy. I'm not expert. You know much better. But I can answer two things. One, Turkey remains in the West, in the NATO. The money is still in the West. And I think also Turkey is trying to expand the opportunities to have better relations. But in the recent days, after the NATO discussions meeting and 75 years of NATO establishment in Washington, D.C., we saw Turkey remains in the West, will remain in the West, but try to expand the opportunities and possibilities. Fine. With Shanghai Conference, Shanghai Organization, in Doha Conference in December, one of the Chinese professors said to me, it was later on in Turkish news, also published in the newspapers. He said, Professor Bagđi, why don't you join Shanghai Cooperation? Is it written in the Quran that you may not join it? I said, my dear, it is not written in the Quran because it is a political decision. It is not a religious decision. And he gave us an interview to Anatolian Agency. It's published, you can see. I'm the original source for this. Shanghai Cooperation is now 11 members. Turkey is an observer status. Definitely we cannot oversee what happens in the global south. Now what I say is the academic analysis, and I said this also in Turkey. Turkey may not make the same mistake as Turkey has done in 1949. What happened in 1949? Turkey was rejecting the first Afro-Asian conference to participate because the decolonization process started in 1945, and one by one, Britain and France were losing their colonies. In 1955, in Bandung, Tito, Nehru, and one Nasser, they established, and I think the idea came from here, from Belgrade, to have this non-aligned movement. Now, the thing is here, today, Turkey is, yes, member of NATO, negotiating with the European Union. They are the processes. We are a member of NATO. We remain it. We cannot leave NATO. There is no way out. If we are out of NATO, then we become like Pakistan. So the idea to be secure, if Finland and Sweden joins the NATO and we leave NATO, it does not fit. It does not fit also into the Turkish grand strategy. We need security guarantees. And I think Shanghai Cooperation is important. Global South is coming. I participated in several conferences from Lula, from Brazil, to Thailand, to, let's say, Egypt, and also South Africa, very interesting. We should see what Global South is doing. Recently, when Putin visited North Korea and China, by the way, I was by coincidence in China, 16th of May, when he was visiting. Russia is trying to create a global alliance. Russia is giving now more importance to BRICS countries and this global south, because the others are already closed. And Turkey is in a good position. Again, we should never forget this at the moment. Also, Caucasia and Central Asia and the Black Sea security is very important for us. So Turkey is using the balance of power policy. Very difficult to continue, but so far is very successful. But Turkey will not become member of Shanghai Organization or BRICS. BRICS plus, yes, no problem. The condition is you have to be non-aligned. You have to be militarily not bound. Turkey cannot do this. Turkey is a democratic country, by the way. Despite all the critics of Turkish democracy, we are a democratic country. And we should keep our values. At least I'm on this side of the river, not to be on the wrong side of the history. I mean, we are a democratic country. We are Western country, and we should have the discussions. the culture, the debate culture is here different, but you cannot use the same with the Chinese, with the Russians, and with the Iranians. You have a different behavior towards those countries. So far. Serbia, I don't know. Assad.
Possible meeting will happen when you Assad.
Inshallah. Let me put it like this. But President is very clever in the sense he said, why not? We have been making holidays together with the families, we met. We can have the same relations as before. We call it, in psychology, I think you forget things which happened before. And with the Turks, we tend to forget very easily. And he's the best example. Balık akıllı demeyeceğim ama. Okay.
I just have to say we have 8 international guests with us, so just want to greet them and to invite them also. If they want, they can send. We have already question, and yeah, we will give to Alexa, and then a question from Zoom, and Nikolai is there. But I have to use the opportunity also to send my best regards to our former, if I could say, internee and good guest here, Mr. Ilbey Çoban, and another very good cooperator to Professor Bagđi, Professor Murat Demirel, which I had the chance to, so I'm very happy that they are with us and send them best regards. So, Alex, and then we go with Zoom and so on.
Thank you, Alexey Filipovic from this institute. Professor, first of all, thank you for this amazing lecture and raising so much interesting topics. And you can see that we are very much eager to discuss them. So I was first thinking to ask you 2 short questions, but in the previous answer to my colleague Gajic, you already answered the relations between BRICS and the Turkey. Well, if you have any additional comments about possibility of balancing Turkey's balancing act between EU and BRICS, and the second one would be what is the role of the BRICS? Can you see the role of the BRICS in the Middle East? Would it have some kind of either as a stabilizing role or just it is a more of propaganda as victory for Russia, China, and other countries? So is it something tangible, or is it more just words in the air, as we say? Thank you.
First of all, Russia would very much like that Turkey is part of BRICS. But Foreign Minister Fidan stated again the same, inshallah, he said. Turkey is seeking for the opportunities, but time is not yet right. We will see. So it's prolonging the time, the period. What happens if Turkey is a member of BRICS? It would be good, unless BRICS does not make this condition that Turkey should leave NATO. If not, then no problem. So it's not Turkey is going to change the position. BRICS should change their position if they are interested to get Turkey in it. So looking from the other side. In German, we have a proverb. I don't know how to translate it into Turkish. Ein Spatz in der Hand ist besser eine Taube auf dem Dach. So
better to have a small bird in your hand than a big pigeon out there.
Yes.
Something like that.
Genau. Danke sehr. So it means you go secure. You know, you have one. NATO is our asset, the most important asset. Since 1952, we are a member of it. So you cannot change it. The Middle East, BRICS is difficult. Iran and India, you know. India is very interesting. Remember, after a G20 meeting last year, we had actually, in September, by the way, again, America, India, you know, Israel, all this. Now nobody is talking about this because it is not viable anymore. Iraq's development road is more important. This is, for Turkey, is the better one, because Turkey will send all the goods without any threat, unless PKK and YPG is out. They should not somehow endanger this road. We will see. This is why Iraq is much more clever now, and they realized also their policies, and this is the statements. Even yesterday, the Iraqi government declared once again that they are on the side of Turkey. And for Turkey is the best way, no doubt about it, no doubt about it. But we will see.
Okay, I will read a question from Zoom. The question is from Greg Simmons. The US, as a relatively declining hegemon, has been engaged in vicarious warfare against rivals such as China, Iran, and Russia as a means to obstruct their foreign and security policy goals and objectives. Given the newly emerging patterns of engagement in the Middle East and North Africa region, do you think this may be some payback in terms of vicarious warfare being used against the US, as it is seen as an incredibly reckless and provocative actor in its decline and risking the rise of the global South?
This type of discussions, America is declining hegemon. America is still the #1 country in economic terms, in military terms. Declining how far? In all our discussions in China, the Chinese were telling us not to go into any war with America. If China is very careful not to go into war with America, and we have to understand from their perspective, America is not declining. That we have in America presence now, the discussions, but they are still #1 economy in the world. Russia is not a big economy. It became war economy more and more. And I think without China, Russia would have difficulties. In Middle East and North Africa, in Africa, there are two countries which are very strongly influential outside of the classical colonial powers. This is China and this is Turkey. From flying back to Turkey from Beijing, the plane flying to Addis Ababa, to Ethiopia. 10 Ethiopians, 180 Chinese. So China is massively involved there. And this is something very important. We had with the Council on German Foreign Relations a webinar in Sahel region, in Mali, in Niger. You know, we had this military coup d'etats. There was a French expert participating from Paris, and he was talking about the coup d'etat epidemic in Sahel region. And I was putting the question like the gentleman now asked. I said, yes, there is an epidemic, it's true. But they use either Sinovac or Turco-Vac. It is not anymore BioNTech. The biggest problem of France there, and it will be not easy, they lose more and more the ground. The European Union representative for Africa, the European Union is trying to provide projects which takes months and years. The Chinese come and they do in a couple of days, couple of months. They connected Djibouti and the other 5 countries with high-speed train. Even here in Novi Sad and Belgrade, the high-speed train, if it would have been a European Union project, it would take 20 years. The Chinese do very fast. It was Thomas L. Friedman in his book, is one of the biggest globalization prophets, if you want. He said, in Washington, D.C., in Georgetown, there was the electronic steps, you know, the people go up. It stopped. 6 months long, nobody was repairing this. Whereas in China, at the same time period, the Chinese built 33 stocks hotel. China is there. I have been, again, this time much more impressed. 13 times I was in China altogether. From Beijing to Shanghai, I took the high-speed train, 360 kilometers per hour. From Shanghai to Beijing, you go in 4 hours, 20 minutes. It's like a plane. Perfect internet views. And you see all the cities from Nanjing to many others. Houses, park places, tunnels, name it. The Chinese will have 800 million people in the year 2050. Now they are 1.3. So the population is decreasing. The more population is decreasing, the more they get rich, because the GDP will be divided among the less people. But the problem is, education is very expensive. Houses are very expensive. And I think China is having at the moment certain problems in the economy, but they produce. And they are the biggest competitor globally, also with the Americans. So from this perspective, I would say Americans made a lot of mistakes, also in the Middle East, also in Africa. There's a wonderful book, actually, by a German friend, Clemens Fehrenkotter, Die neue Herren der Welt, the new rulers of the world is the title. Bestseller from Spiegel, bestseller in Germany. In 1992, when the American Secretary of State visited South Africa, he said, "We are not here just for the visit. We are here to stay." Sao Tome and Principe. This is the on the west in the Atlantic, the islands. It was under Portuguese colony. There are 150,000 people, by the way, and I met one of them in Portugal. And this is the future Kuwait, Abu Dhabi, and Doha. And the best friend of this small state was at that time George W. Bush, because they say, if we give the Americans this, the Americans will make us rich, not the Spanish, not like British, not like the Portuguese. So this is very interesting one. And Africa, again, we have to see Africa from another perspective. Turkish Africa policy is very interesting. Turkish Airlines, I'm not making advertisement, but fact, flies in 51 countries in Africa. Istanbul is the hub. You can travel anywhere. And by the way, the Istanbul lounge is the best one for business people. You have everything there to eat, to drink, from doner kebab to I don't know whatsoever. So I would suggest too.
If I may.
Just a brief introduction. Last time when you were here, actually, Alexa and Nicola were internees. Actually, in the meantime, we succeeded in employing them. So we have good expert for Scandinavia, Russia, post-Soviet world, and one good expert for Israeli world.
Yes.
Please.
Well, thank you for the introduction. So, yes, my name is Nikola Tutsakov. I'm now a researcher here at the Institute. And, of course, my question will be concerning Israeli-Turkish relations. You mentioned that after October 7th, there was a sudden and abrupt change in relations, which is understandable. My question is, could this be again reversed? So could there be a a new turn to more amicable relations as a result of certain political changes on the domestic front in either country? Or do you think that there are good reasons to expect long-term hostile relations, no matter who governs either Israel or Turkey? Thank you.
Thank you. Really good question, but for me, easy to answer. One of them has to go. Who is going? Netanyahu. President is elected until 2028, but Netanyahu will have difficulties. So, Turkey and Israel, historically speaking, they had up and downs, but always there was, again, coming back to normalization of the relations. And I think it will be the case. You cannot neglect Israel in this part of the world. You cannot. It's not possible. So we have to live with this problem. The issue is here how Hamas is going to behave, whether they will be part of the negotiations or will be excluded. The negotiations are still going on and the elections there. But once I know, what I know is this, Gaza region will be established like New Singapore. So somehow they have to get this area as a future important trade part of the world. The Israelis have the money. If Hamas is stopping terrorism, then there will be also two state solution. At the end of the day, they have to come to a common understanding. The negotiations are going there. For Turkey, I would say Israel will remain always an important ally in the Middle East. This is my view.
Sorry, since His Excellency unfortunately has to go to another appointment, please just give us.
Is it okay? Thank you, Professor Bagđi, for your insightful comments. This is the second in a row, and I hope that we will see you again soon in this year. As you have left Foreign Policy Institute, I think that you're going to have a new position here at the Institute of European Studies. Misha is leaving as well. Yes. Maybe next time we could have a seminar about Turkish-Serbian relations, which are at the peak nowadays. As last year, President Vučić termed our relations as the golden age. We are living the golden age in our relations. So we can work on that if you wouldn't mind. I would like to thank all the participants as well and wish you all the best. Sorry that I have to leave.
Thanks to His Excellency for being with us. And now we have Rajko Petrović, and we will slowly approaching to the end. We will not torture Professor, but we still have time for a couple of questions. Please.
Thank you, Rajko Petrović, working here at the Institute of European Studies. Thank you for your lecture. As always, was great pleasure to listen to you and to learn so many new things. I have two short questions. The first one, how do you see the relations between Turkey and Serbia today? And the second one, how do you see the relations between Turkey and Bosnia and Herzegovina today? Yeah, that's it. Thank you once again.
my son married to a Serbian woman, so we became relatives. So I can only say it will be great. At least I will do my best to keep this golden age going on. So yes, my son is married to a Serbian girl. She is a musician also like my son. She is playing in symphony orchestra of Bilkent University, and my son at the Presidential Symphony Orchestra in Ankara. So, but concerning the political side of the is the personal side, but this is the political side. I think Turkey and Serbia are pivotal states. Serbia is, after the dissolution of Yugoslavia, becoming smaller in territorial sense, but you have the heritage of the non-aligned countries, neutrality, third way, as you may call it. And I think this is a unique position also within the global south. Your future is much more, I would say, stronger, without leaving the realities that European Union is also now getting more and more interested in you than you are interested in the European Union. It was, I think, the Soviet leader, one of the Soviet politicians who said the war, Trotsky was saying this, you may not be interested in war, but the war is certainly interested in you. So you may not be interested in European Union, but European Union is interested in you. Yesterday, when I had a talk with my dear friend, Vuk, 3% of lithium production is coming from this country. You have manpower, you have well-educated people, and historically you are on the way to Europe. 3B, Berlin, Belgrade, Baghdad. So you cannot, this is the geography. You know, the geography matters, as Robert Kaplan calls geography takes its revanche. And yes, you have not been so good in the European Soccer Championship than with the Turks, but doesn't matter. We have two presidents now between our countries. Interestingly, they come to power, they stay in power. This is the democracy. Whether we like them or not is another issue. But there are political players, and also in Hungary we have it. In Germany we had Angela Merkel, 16 years. Helmut Kohl, 16 years. So if Germany has 16 years, the same person as a chancellor, why not in other countries? The question is here the values, how far you go away from the values, and we may not forget. And now what I say is, academically speaking, I hope not to be misunderstood, but we are not having the same Serbian society in 1991 when Soviet Union declined. It is not the same Serbian generation when the war started between Russia and Ukraine. Also in Turkey, our society is also changing. We are changing societies. This is why I would suggest Timothy Garton Ash's book, Homelands. When we read this book, Homelands, then you have the Western and the Central European and the Balkan countries. This part of the world, for us, Balkans are the line from where the democratic reforms came. By the way, I'm a Balkan man. My mother was born in Bulgaria, my father in Kumonova, in Skopje. My son marries a Serbian girl. We remain in the Balkans, so it can be only good one. But the thing is, Serbia and Turkey are two countries which have relations with Russia, and it is good so. The flights to Moscow from here and from Ankara perfect, from Istanbul, perfect. Now, I said this also in the European institutions, even the universities. During the Cold War years, Soviet citizens were not allowed to go to the West. Now the Western people are not allowed to go to Russia. How can you, in the long run, keep it going on like this? The generations here emerging, and they need each other. So Europe will remain as a part of the definitely our common history, with all these negative and positive developments. Democracy, Nazism, fascism, name it, but they are all coming from this. We learn from the history, lessons learned. So I think when we look to the future, and I can only say that Turkey and Serbia together, they can move many things in the Balkans together with Central and Eastern European countries also. We have a different level of integration. I mean, countries like Estonia, Latvia, Lithuania, I mean, they are really small countries. But Yugoslavia was composed of 8 different people, countries. Now we have, with all the, discussions, we, the Turks, we have also looked to the Balkans from a different perspective now. The question is, how do we come together? That I'm here in Serbia, in Belgrade, and talking to you, it is an important historical achievement. Why? Because we talk about common future of our countries. We change our position, and we have to be, in this respect, very open-minded. And we have to learn. Again, I told to my dear friend Darko Tanaskovic, now these 2 books he wrote, I will use them in my lectures. I'm also fed up, always use the German, English, and British books. And this is important. How do you see? We need a multi-visionary people, not only looking from one perspective. I learned a lot from China, from India, traveling so many countries, and looking from different perspectives. So I think the question is here, also the university professors, institutes, how do we find the conflicts, and how do we try to solve them? The wars will be always there. Niall Ferguson is also talking about this. Henry Kissinger was talking about this. But I see a problem, and this is the last sentence maybe. Never ever before in the Western European countries we had such a very weak historical personalities and intellectuals. We do not have big philosophers. We don't have big people. Look here. Tell me a couple of them. The best one of Germany is Alfred Münkler from Humboldt University. His latest book is Die Welt im Aufstand. The world is in rising. Now, he is the German strategist, very good. But you know, when you look certain policies there, and I was also in Berlin this year, I told them, I said, in Nuremberg University, I said, the German intellectuals, if you consider Turkey as only Tayyip Erdogan, you are wrong. Tayyip Erdogan is there, okay, 10 years later, he will be not there. In the long run, we are all dead. The question is, how do you see the future? And how to get this value-based system or give and take approach, transactional. Sometimes you make transactional relations, sometimes value-based, but we should keep in touch. We should try to understand. The second, Bosnia is, of course, historically, again, very important. The problem is, yesterday, I think, Bosnia and Saudi Arabia signed an agreement about Islam, which I consider very dangerous. Salafism is dangerous, to my view. But this is another mistake, maybe from Turkish side. The Muslims in the Balkans, they are not conservative in this sense. It's much more secular-minded. But it's another debate. I can speak hours about it. Maybe I stop here and then get the last question.
So, Mr. Vukalović, but only, two. Okay.
Yeah. Yeah.
And one on Zoom. Okay.
Yes.
So we have to slowly
Okay.
finish.
So Mr. Vukalović wrote down his questions, so I will be translating them from the notes. The first question: how did Hamas see or perceive the growth of political and economic relations between Turkey and Israel? The second question is has China, in your opinion, made any wrong moves in terms of its policy on the Middle East? And third, okay. This is all. This is all. Should I go ahead and read the other question? Okay.
Okay. I like it, by the way. Very good. First of all, Turkey is not depending on Hamas' decision whether we have relations with Israel or not. It's not Hamas' business. Turkey supports Hamas because of the what happens there is unacceptable. But again, I repeat it again, both sides made mistakes. Two wrongs does not make one right. Turkey indeed supported Hamas, also the political leaders, Mr. Haniyeh, and I remember in 2006 when Hamas leader came to Turkey in Ankara. It was received at the airport with a big ceremony, but he was running on the return from backside. It was the new time of AKP government. It was Turkey was much more at that time sensitive to this type of movements than it is the case today. So the mindset also changed, and then he was in the hotel at the highway to Konya, Metropole Hotel. He said, "I want to go to mosque to pray." The Turkish security said, no, guy, you cannot go. Do it here. From where to where? And Haniyeh was recently in Turkey. Many, in Turkish press, there were some reports that Hamas people make business in Turkey, houses selling and buying and many things, like Muslim brothers. But Turkey is very interesting. Turkey forbid Muslim brothers when the negotiations with Egypt started. It was Egyptian condition to stop, and it was so that government said you cannot make propaganda, no television, no press, or it's better you go. Last year, I have to tell it really, in a meeting about Syria, we discussed around 20 experts, and I said Turkey has to speak with Bashar Assad. Okay? And one of the young researchers, we know you are always saying this, and it will never become the case. It is the killer, is the murderer, all this. I said, fine. I say Turkey has to speak. If the president does not speak, then it is his problem. But it will be the case. Now, this man, researcher from Research Institute, is not appearing anywhere. Because president said, we can speak. We can start the negotiations. We have been before France. We can become again. This is what makes us sometimes very difficult to analyze, because there are people, we call them, with your permission, my dear friend, academic bulldogs, okay, who support unconditionally statements of politicians as if ultimate truths. I learned it not to do. The statements of the politicians, we have to get it in order to make analysis, but not believe that it is ultimate truth. Otherwise, you lose at the end. And Turkey had to speak to Bashar Assad, had to speak to Morsi, because these countries are important countries. In the Middle East, Yevgeny Primakov, Alex maybe know this, Yevgeny Primakov wrote about the Russian policy, Soviet policy in the Middle East. He said, we have a saying, in the Middle East, no war without Syria, no peace without Egypt. In this respect, maybe Henry Kissinger's book, Strategic Leadership, Anwar Sadat's section is very important. Land for peace or peace for land. And this guy, Anwar Sadat, was making peace with Rabin. What happened? He is killed. Who killed him? Muslim brothers. To be for peace in the Middle East is a very difficult job. You pay it with your life. Also in Israel, we have seen who killed Rabin. He was the student, radical one. So there's always a problem. It's always a problem. But China makes wrong moves. I don't know. The Chinese, they have a different time frame. We in Turkey and in Europe, we look to the events from 2,000 years perspective. The guys look from 5,500 years. They have a different mindset. It was Prime Minister Chu Enlai when he was asked whether the French Revolution was good or bad. After 175 years, he said, I don't know, it is too early to make a judgment. You know, it all depends from which perspective, from which culture you look to this. And we are in Turkey very unpassionate people. We just want to get everything to have done very fast. It does not function.
Okay. This question comes from Stefan Branisavljevic, sorry. Dear Professor, what can you say about relations between Turkey and the Arab world? Can there be more constructive relations knowing that Turkish army is in parts of northern Syria and that it bombs northern parts of Iraq? How these gaps can be bridged in the future, especially as some secular Turkish nationalists have a racist and supremacist attitude towards Arabs? Thank you. And the author of this question is from Jordan. It's from.
First of all, with the Turks, we cannot be racist. This word does not exist. Racism is a white man's superiority towards the other continents. Paul Kennedy's book, The Rise and Fall of Great Powers. Until 17th century, we didn't have the word racism. Racism is a word, now definition, used in the literature, in the political life, but we are all racist at the end of the day. We have Arab horses. Yeah? Why? Because Arab horses are running better. The German wolves. Yeah? So we look to the race in a positive way. In political sense, it is abused. The empires have been always composed of different nationalities. Hegemons, Ottoman Empire, Roman Empire. I was just a couple of days ago in Rome. I was in NATO Defense College. Rome is Rome. It is empire, a world city, what? They are all, when you look to all these films, Gladiator and I don't know whatsoever, everybody was there. And the Romans have been everywhere in the world, in the known world. Today, Americans. I mean, in America, all the races are there. The thing is, as the Chinese origin professor from Chicago University. I'm a professor at the Chicago University teaching economics. I pay my taxes, I elect the president. But when I go home, I eat, of course, Chinese food and drink Chinese alcohol. Or the people from Cuba, from Latin America. I mean, if a Chinese say, I'm American, would you think that it is American? You are Chinese, yeah? Nothing wrong with this. Chinese origin, American citizen. Like in Turkey, we have all the, in Turkey, we have all the ethnic groups from all over. It is an empire. The people from the Balkans, including my family. I was born in Turkey, but they came from Bulgaria and from Macedonia. Why? Because the Ottoman Empire lost and we became smaller. But if you go to 16th, 17th century, Paul Kennedy says in the year 1500, China had 150 million people and Ottoman Empire 10 million people. Istanbul was one of the biggest cities in the European continent. Now, the issue is the question, nationalism, and this type of argumentations come. In Germany, we have, and not only in Germany, but in the entire European countries, the rise of radical rights is not nationalism in the classical sense. It is to protect the culture. AfD in Germany was a movement with the saying to protect the Western culture against the barbarians. If the people come from the other parts of the world and then tell you that you have to change your way of life, that you may not drink alcohol, you may not send your daughter to disco, or I don't know what, sorry, you cannot do this. Either you adjust yourself to the conditions there, cultural, political, whatsoever, or you go back. I mean, the guys coming from Afghanistan and telling us that they need caliphate in Turkey. Go, yeah. We cannot. Or in Belgium, a professor from Antwerp University said to me, Hussein, look here, they were Taliban-style people. 4 people, white things and bars, you know, like Taliban style. And then, not like serve it. And he said, Hussein, look here, they have all the opportunities, welfare, money, freedom. But if they start to tell me that my daughter cannot go to disco on Saturday night, then I will fight. So does it mean that this guy is nationalist? No, to protect the values. This is a new challenge. This is a new problem in the world. We are not used to get so many people. 2 countries, China and Russia, they still very much conservative, accepting the migration. The Chinese need also people. A lot of Africans now coming there. The Russians, I told to a demography professor of Russia in Valdai Club discussion in Sochi, I said, you know, you are the biggest country in the world. Why don't you accept people from us? He said, no, he's saying. I mean, Russia has 17 million square kilometers. 8 hours difference in the same country. Send them to Siberia and develop things. No, it is not. So this is a new phenomenon. This is a big problem. Europe, and this is, I have to say this, the European countries, my country is a country like you have lithium, we have human resources. Netherlands, Belgium, Germany, Finland, Sweden. Even the students who have been for Erasmus program in Finland, they are given the right to work and get citizenship in Finland. Why? Because they lack the people. Demography is one of the global problems. And this demographic changes bring also, of course, new cultural problems. So it is a problem for the governments, for the people. And the Turkish army in Syria, you know, the Turkish army is not an army of laboratorium. They are very practicing one and a very experienced one. You do not go to any other country, in the case of Turkey, if you do not feel secure. The Syrian border is not secure. We had minefields before, 910 kilometers on the border of Syria. 910 kilometers. We got all the mines from there, and now the people come in. You know, just the Turkish borders are very open borders now. It's very dangerous. This is a political debate in Turkey. But nationalism, of course, nationalism is to a certain degree is a healthy one. So I know also here and in this country, in other countries, but Iraq is a problem. Yeah, this is true. PKK and Turkey is still part of the problem. But Iraq is now moving to the Turkish direction. They also accept now this is a terrorist organization, and they will try to reduce their activities there.
I will use the privilege at the end, although I know that we are pretty tired. We listen too much. The brain is already, you know, overflooded by that. But I have really to use opportunity to ask you about Gaza.
Yeah.
And of course, Lebanon, that's been mentioned as a new possible threat at this moment. You know, last year, just a brief introduction, I had a chance to listen to Professor Weinbaum, who is member, no, it's closed for microphone, who is a member of Israeli Council for Foreign Affairs. He was our guest here at some conference. And when he was speaking about some historical issues, we had a chance also to speak about the thing that had just started with the Hamas and so on. So I said, okay, Professor Weinberg, at that moment, Israeli Defense Forces have started the operation. Can you tell me what is the goal now? How do you think this might end up? What do you want at this moment? And he said something like, the crucial task for us is to totally eliminate Hamas. Yeah. That was the basic idea. We know that there will be a lot of collateral damages. And he said we have to do that fast. As long as it's going to last, we will have more and more international problems with the soft power and so on and so on. And our internal problems will be bigger, as you already mentioned, and so on. So at this moment, the process has been going on for almost 1 year. They hasn't, for the time being, eliminated Hamas, as far as we see. On the other hand, China is trying to include them in the process. The number of killed person, I think still in media you will see like 35,000, but you know, the last estimation are more than 150,000 people. Some people even mention 180,000 and so on. And it is continuing and so on. They have internal problem and so on. And the last move that we saw is exactly that the forces of IDF are moving to the Lebanon border, that there were estimation that anytime soon, at least like 15 days ago, the operation against Hezbollah might be starting, with the idea of including Iran and so on. I know some American friends who are dealing with security and defense issues and foreign policy think that idea of Netanyahu is to include America in direct confrontation before the elections and so on. I put a lot of things around, but basically my question is, how do you see perspective of this, and how the whole thing with Gaza might end up?
Many people say in the Israeli army there are more conservative people than Netanyahu himself. So this is another discussion. You know, if you are, how do you call it? çekiç, how do you call it? Hammer. Then you see everybody is a thing that you have to put down. Yeah, evet. Now, it is very interesting and complicated issue. I was also telling that the aim of Israel was to eliminate Hamas and make this Gaza as a free economic zone and bringing a lot of business and then from there move. Hamas is an interesting organization. Again, the Arab countries do not consider Hamas as a partner of talk because they say we are against any organization, non-state actor having weapons and attacking. Now, this is United Arab Emirates, this is Saudi Arabia, most of them. Now, Gaza will be, in the long run, after all this happens, we will see that the reconstruction there has to be done. Who is going to pay the money? We don't know. Like Ukraine is already $1 trillion. The infrastructure is totally destroyed. Now, Gaza is a small territory, and all these Arab countries, including Egypt, Rafah gate is not opened. Hamas is an organization not like Al-Fatah, which was different in its structure. And we know Yasser Arafat made the big mistake in 1990 and 91 to support Saddam Hussein. He put his money on the wrong horse. 400,000 Palestinians overnight were kicked out from Kuwait, United Arab Emirates, back. Every political move has consequences. Good consequences or bad consequences, it all depends. Where is it? Lebanon, my dear friend, is the weakest link at the moment. Hezbollah is very strong. They have 150,000 rockets at least so far. And Hezbollah is different than Hamas. Hamas is with the people. They are among the people. Is why the Israelis bomb, which is not acceptable, but they do. In Lebanon, it is different. The Hezbollah controls territories. And there is the army structure there. Two books. One is the German one, Muriel Asseburg. She wrote about the Palestine. Last year, published wonderful research. She is expert from Stiftung für Wissenschaft und Politik. Muriel Asseburg, Palestine. When you read this, then you have the history of Palestine in this from last century and until today. The second one, Konrad Weber. Konrad Weber was the German Bundesnachrichtendienst intelligence service president. He was Europol president. He speaks perfect Arabic. He studied in Syria. And he was one who exchanged the prisoners from Hezbollah and Israel. There were three people. One businessman was taken away from Qatar, and two Israeli soldiers, dead soldiers. They needed their body. In the Israeli culture, a woman cannot marry another man if she does not prove that the man is dead. They took the plane, hospital plane, to Cologne, to Germany. Konrad Weber wrote this, I quote from there. Hezbollah leaders, some of them who negotiated, came to Cologne. In Cologne, in Germany, there is the civilian airport and the military airport. And the discussions took at this military airport. There was one German guy who was drunk, using drug, and was joining Hezbollah. They made a mistake. They did bring this guy also from the delegation, probably for translate. And the German Secret Intelligence Service said, the guy is there. We cannot, because he's a German citizen, we cannot give him back. And the Hezbollah people were not prepared for this, that they have to leave somebody there. And they found a very clever policy. They said, this guy has some tax debts, vergi borcu, tax. So he has to be here in order to pay his taxes to the state. Hezbollah guys, what hell yeah? How much is it? 350 euro. No, we pay it. No, you cannot pay. He should pay. And the guy stayed there. They didn't give him back to the Hezbollah delegation. There are things we know, there are things we don't know. But what we know is Hezbollah is one of the important threats for Israel. Israel knew this. And Lebanon regrets it, that they gave the headquarters of PLO first in Lebanon, later on they went to Tunisia, as you know. Hezbollah is supported by Iran, you know this, is a military and economic power there. And Israel is, in the long run, has to deal with Hezbollah. How they do it, we don't know. And the question is, how Iran is reacting to this. Is Iran going to act against Israel? I don't think so. I'm confident of it. It's not. Iran would not fight against Israel under no conditions. Under no conditions. The reformists now, anyway, they would never do it. Raisi maybe was a little bit different, but not now. The question is, my dear friend, can Hamas be totally eliminated? This is the right question. I don't think so. And in Doha conference last December, we listened also to Al-Fatah Prime Minister, he was speaker. We had listened to United Nations Secretary General. Never ever, since 1945, I think we had such a weak United Nations Secretary General like Mr. Guterres. So Graham Ellison was there, the American senator, and many others. And at the Doha conference, we saw how Hamas, at that time, it was just a couple of months that Hamas and Israeli fight was going on. From December until today, and the number of the people who are killed, every day, of course, Israel is getting pressure and more. Life will be difficult for the Israeli citizens. I follow every day German news, German debates. Just a couple of weeks ago, there was a debate. 3 Jewish origin Germans are talking. They started to fight among each other. Life is not easy for them anymore, but what will be the solution is very difficult to know. The Chinese, probably, they try to bring them and tell them, you guys, you arm each other because you are all Palestinians. You are all the Palestinians, but if you want to come together, then you lose. Jordanian, we had a question from Jordan, if he is still listening. Jordan is the biggest Palestinian state actually in the world. And there is nothing coming. In Latin America, we have 400,000 Palestinians, but they are all Christians. If they are Christian Palestinians, no problem. And even the universities in Germany, in America, in France, suddenly, not because the term is ended, but the people realized that there is uprising. Of course, the students' demonstrations are important, but it is not like in the late 60s when it was taking place in Germany, in France, and etc. They stopped. But the fact is, we have now a new psychology, which is against the, I would say, Israel. When John Mearsheimer and Stephen Waltz wrote this book in the 2017, what they wrote, they said the Israeli lobby is not anymore so strong. Yeah? And Mearsheimer and Waltz got a lot of critics in the American universities. And this is why John Mearsheimer is now moving more to Russia and to others, because he has not the future there. His book, The Delusion of Liberalism, is very interesting, no doubt about it. But I think at the end of the day, what happens in Gaza, what happens in Lebanon, the life of the Jews outside of the territories in other countries will be not easier. The wife of the new British Prime Minister is also a Jewish one. Anyway. And. I think is enough.
So after more than 2 hours and almost 2.5 hours, we are finishing. Just a brief sentence from myself. I have to thank to Dusan and to Alexa, our editors of Tribina, of the forum, for letting me for the last time here in my mandate as director to have this privilege really to directing this. I'd be happy to greet you all and publicly to thank everybody who had the chance to participate. In a way, even before that, let me privatize a little bit. I started this Tribina 15 years ago, actually, in 2009. So for the 15 years, I think that we have built very nice forum for the conference and so on. And I'm so happy that we have, as you see, so many good young faces here and very good editors that will continue working that in the best possible way. Thank you all for cooperating. And finally, I really think that we had the privilege to finish my last work of this kind and this season, because we are finally going to the deeply deserved and strongly deserved vacations that are starting from August the 1st, Ferragosto. So it was really great time having you here as a lecturer. I heard that you are already planning to participate to some other conference and so on, and hope in the future to continue our work in many possible ways. Thank you very much for everything, and I think that Professor has deserved one strong applause.